using that kind of a hook, people will obviously want to watch your video, right?
So the big question is, what are the top agents doing to absolutely crush it in real estate, grow their teams, and add more transactions year over year while so many struggle? If you ever thought about this, you're not alone. No one has been able to get the answers until now.
We spent the last few years helping agents sell billions in real estate, rubbing shoulders with top producers, which got us thinking, how can we expose more people to these insights to help raise the standard in the whole real estate industry? We then realized that we could help bridge the gap by getting the secrets from the best of the best so that you can succeed. My name is Andrew Dunn.
And my name is Peter Michael. Welcome to Elite Agent Secrets.
Hey everyone, and welcome to this episode of Elite Agent Secrets. Today we've got Christian Mortuzo. Hopefully I didn't butcher that. It's one hell of a mouthful. This guy's an absolute beast. He is, by definition, a modern agent. 5 years in real estate, top 30 under 30 in Canada, over 10 million views on TikTok, over 100,000 followers across social media, selling homes, making videos, out there crushing it. Christian, thanks for jumping on today. I can't wait for you to share be here. This modern way of going out and selling a shitload of homes.
Totally. Yeah, totally. I'm excited to share some of my secrets with you guys. Ever since I got in this business, I always thought to myself, there had to be a more modern way, a more new school way of doing things, not just the typical, door knocking, cold calling, all that sort of. I've never bought anything that way. So I always thought to myself, why would I try to sell people that way? Right. So definitely excited to share some of my secrets with you guys.
I love that. I've never even thought about that. I've never bought something that way. So why would I sell it that way?
Totally.
I've never even thought about that as a conceptual idea. It's I've never bought anything from a cold call, ever.
Totally. So that's exactly why I started doing using the methods that I've been using, because I guess growing up in a modern or more digital era than what maybe some of the older agents would have grown up in, I always thought to myself, whenever someone picks up the phone, tries to give me a cold call, tries to sell me on something, or knocks on my door, all of a sudden my sales wall is up to here, right? Your guard is very, very high. There's 100%. There's no way that you're going to feel comfortable buying something from that person. You've basically got a huge wall to climb before you can finally maybe have a chance at pulling that sales wall down a little bit. And then maybe you're thinking about buying something. But even then, in the back of your head, you're thinking to yourself, hey, this is a door-to-door salesman. This is a cold call. Do I really want to go through and do this? Right. So yeah. That's the way I've always thought about running business like that. So I've always thought there's got to be a better way, a way that actually, brings people, that attracts people to you, that actually brings people into you, and not it's not just you chasing after people. Because at the end of the day, let's face it, we've all probably been in the business, newer in the business at some point, where we've all been in that mode of chase, follow up, chase, cold call. It's exhausting. That's not a long-term strategy to build your business off of, in my opinion anyways. Hey, no knock to people that do that. There's people who have had great success and they're just, great door knockers, great cold callers. That's what they like. That's what they've got built in their schedule. That's what they like doing every single day. And if that's the case, no knock to them. But I always just thought to myself, there's got to be a more modern and a better way to actually scale your business. Not just because at the end of the day, cold calling, door knocking, those are not scalable tasks. The only way you could possibly scale your business up with cold calling and door knocking is hire people to cold call and door knock for you, right? Yeah. There's only so many doors you can knock on, only so many calls you can make in a day. If you're doing things right on social media, one post, one video, one good piece of content, there's almost no limit on how many eyes that piece of content can reach. And not only that, is that content's reaching people and working for you while you're sleeping. So I think it's pretty cool.
I love that.
Dude, so one of the things that you said, I can count on one hand how many times I've bought something from a door knock, cold call, and it's literally just once. And the reason why I bought, and like you're saying, it's your sales wall goes way up because you know exactly what's coming. This isn't your first rodeo. Totally. You know all the little grimy sales tactics that everybody uses and all this other stuff. But I tell you what, there's this guy on I don't know if it's on TikTok or Instagram, but I know you've seen it, that does door-to-door sales of like the Windex product. It's a black gentleman. His pitch, it is so on point. I had a kid sell me pest treatment for the house down here in Florida, knocking on my door with that exact style. And when he dropped the line on me saying, "Hey, you're just helping me pay for my college," it was like $100. Like, sure, I'll help you pay for your college, man. Like the balls and the guts to knock on the door, do the pitch, be as cool as Kool-Aid or the other side of the pillow, and then come back and follow up with me when I said, "Hey, come back in 2 hours." Like clockwork, he was back at 2 hours.
Wow.
There's no way I'm getting out of that.
No, right? Definitely not. At that point, he's got you. You know what? It's $100. You rope it. Hey, it's $100. You chalk it up and be like, "You got me for $100. Let's do this."
But the experience was great, and that's ultimately where I'm going with this. Is when you're creating your content, you're creating an experience for your audience.
Totally.
So you are doing the quote unquote door knocking and cold calling at scale, but you're actually letting people get to know you because they're consuming your content, right? And I think that's a really, really important thing.
Absolutely.
And to the other point is, I never bought that way. That's a very valid point. I never bought anything off the phone. The first thing is somebody tries to tell me, it's a click.
Yeah, I mean, it's easier to avoid. Like a phone call is far easier to say no to than a door knocking. But
definitely, definitely.
Before we unpack this social media, before we do anything of that sort, let's go back 5 years when you started in real estate. Like what happened? Like, why'd you get started? Let's walk through the story and like what years 1, 2, 3, kind of look like for you. And then we'll kind of start unpacking more of your strategy.
Yeah, definitely. So basically, before I was in real estate, I was actually in a far different career field. I have my bachelor's degree in finance. So I actually was working a financial analyst, a corporate finance type job, 9 to 5.
Which corporation?
Canadian Tire Financial Services. So one of the bigger credit card lenders in the Toronto, I guess in Canada here.
We have a very similar background, very similar.
Yeah, totally. So it's completely different than real estate. It's 9 to 5. It's corporate. Dress shirt and shoes every single day, and you're in the office, not talking to people, and it just really wasn't a fit for me. Right? I was always kind of like the more social guy who would always want to get people to come out for lunch and how's your weekend? What are you doing? What are your plans? And everyone was just sitting there like a robot at their computers, and they're like, Christian, stop talking to me. So I was like, I don't know if this is really a fit for me. So I looked around and I was like, maybe it's, maybe if I had my manager's job, maybe if I worked my way up, things would be a little bit different. But no matter where I looked, I felt that just the corporate 9 to 5 thing just wasn't going to be for me. I really wasn't happy doing it. So anyways, I guess long story short is I got an opportunity to jump into real estate and get my license. I was actually still living at home at the time. So switching over and the uncertainty of maybe not having some income for, a few months or 6 months wasn't really a big problem for me to be able to jump in and do it. I had somebody who offered to kind of, take me under his wing a little bit and give me a little bit of mentorship and get me off the ground. So basically I said, hey, why not? Like, what do I really have to lose at this point? Right. It's, let's give it a shot and see where it goes. So I guess long story short, first year, I jumped in, took this guy's help and wasn't doing anything really similar to what I'm doing right now. Right. It was more so, okay, I'm hosting open houses. I'm, talking to the people that, my sphere of influence, the people that know me, trying to make sure that they know that I'm in real estate, blah, 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 all of that sort of stuff. Right. So definitely nothing really too similar to what I was doing right now, but I would always, try to make an effort to, post a little bit of my stuff on social media, open house this weekend, make a little post about it, or, just sold a house, just make a little post, like, just little bits of stuff like that. And I started noticing that, hey, like people were like reacting and like this was back in the day when not, many realtors were really even doing anything on social media. So even that like little minimum effort that I was putting into it like 5 years ago was getting results with just making a post saying you have an open house and everyone's contacting. Like, no, that's not really going to work anymore. But back then that was getting some results. Right. So I guess long story short, year 2, I decided to go off on my kind of, spread my wings, go off my own. I wasn't working with that guy anymore. I learned a lot about, staying in touch and providing value and, really keeping in front of your sphere of influence as being a very important, part of being successful in real estate. So those were like the really, I guess, good things that I did learn from that partnership earlier on. And second and third year, I would say it's almost a blur when I look back like that far, because what I was doing back then is just so different from what I'm doing now, right? I was still kind of figuring out like the social media aspect of things. Where do I go with this? How do I make this work? I was still kind of doing some old school stuff, trying to keep in touch with sphere of influence. I kind of got into even like buying some internet leads and doing that sort of stuff, like cold leads, just, force registration, click on the thing online and you got their information, you got a lead to follow up with. So I'd say year 2 to 3, that's kind of when I was kind of figuring my stuff out, right? Just kind of playing around with things. Year 4 and 5 is, I guess, where things have gotten really interesting now, because I've really doubled down on social media. I've really doubled again, like if you ask me kind of how do I run my business now, it's pretty much sphere of influence and past clients in social media, and using technology to kind of either keep in touch with my sphere of influence past clients and growing my business and brand with social media, like even further and further and further, right? So year 4 and 5 is really when I decided to double down on that. And if you kind of look at my growth and even like my paychecks that I've been receiving over the past 5 years, it's kind of gone like this. As soon as we kind of, hit year 4 and 5, it was almost like an exponential, like whoop. So
let's talk
so
about
it's awesome.
That. What did he say?
I knew you were going to go there, Andrew. As soon as I saw that smile and he said those paychecks were exponentially going to go up.
I was going there way before he said that. I've got to ask the questions because the audience want to know. What do you make year 1, roughly? What do you make year 2? What do you make year 3, year 4?
So basically, I can't remember off the top of my head all the numbers that I every single year, but I would say like between my first and third year, I was probably in between. I was probably I was an average agent. I was maybe doing 100, 150 to 200, like 200 a year for those first few years, right?
Okay, newsflash.
Right,
let us get there. That is not an average agent.
Okay. I thought it was average anyways, but yeah, I was, I was in between. I would say my first year was probably about $100,000, and then second, third year, 100, like 150, 170, 100, and it would kind of be in that range of below 200,000 now, right? And now that I'm in my fifth year, I'm at about like this year currently, I'm at about 400,000 this year as an individual agent. So I've just started a team off now. I have an admin that works for me part-time. I have a buyer's agent because I literally just have so many leads, so much stuff going on that I don't have time to chase after and, do all that stuff on my own anymore. So I've delegated a lot of my resources out in hopes that, obviously next year I can continue to scale and grow this business. But yeah, basically the point that I'm at right now, which is around that, as I said, around that $400,000 mark this year, I'm finding as an individual agent, it's tough to really break. I feel like I've really worked myself to the max to kind of get there. Like if you're selling that quantity per year, like I feel like any more and my service level would just drop completely because I just would just not have nearly enough time to service everybody. And I already feel like, in some cases, maybe I have let my service level drop a little bit to service that many clients and do that many sales. So yeah, I've basically come to the conclusion that, if I want to keep scaling and growing, I'm really at the point where I've got to leverage other people's time and build up from here.
How many clients do you work with at any given time?
It's totally different, right? Like I've literally got, clients wanting me to work like every single day. I get messages on social media. I've got sphere of influence people that I'm literally working with like every single day. So it's almost hard to keep track of like exactly how many people I'm working with at a time, right? Sometimes it might be, as I said, it's hard to almost keep track of like the exact number of like, oh, is it like 10 buyers at once and like 3 sellers? It's tough because I've got so many people reaching out to me, like, and that I'm working with like continually all the time that I almost don't really even keep track of how many it is.
Yeah. It's that's insane. Like, yeah, obviously, by the way, just for context as well, 400,000 or the 100,000, that's Canadian dollars, right?
Yep.
Right. So I don't know what the conversion is, but is that like 70,000 US? I don't know.
Oh, no, that's 400,000 Canadian.
No, 100,000 Canadian.
Oh, right. Yeah. So 100,000 Canadian is probably like 75,000 US, maybe,
so
like something around there.
Double what the average agent makes. The average statistic is about 44,000. So you know, from day one, you were definitely like, in the nicest way, free.
Right.
Like you were out there and you were closing deals. You got this mentorship, and that went really well for you. Now, like social media, and I want to get diving into like these kind of strategies and tips and whatnot that you brought for us here today and for the listeners. So let's dive into like your first one, which is, and I think we can all agree, well, I hope so, and I hope everyone listening agrees, is why you should
social media.
Why you should be on social media, why you should be using it, right?
So totally. So like, in my opinion, if you're trying to grow a brand or trying to grow a business, like, you have to be on social media right now. Like before, you know, a few years ago, maybe before COVID, maybe it was optional. Maybe it was like, hey, there's other ways to do this. Not everybody's on social media. But I feel like, especially ever since the start of the pandemic, ever since COVID, everyone jumping online right now. You know, it basically, in my opinion, what COVID has done, it's taken what would have naturally happened over 10 years. It's condensed it into, sorry about that. It's condensed it into a year or a year and a half, right? So all that growth in these social platforms that we probably would have organically seen over the next 10 years already, we've actually already seen that in the past year and a half due to the pandemic, right? It's just forced all those things that were coming to just come at us a little bit faster, right? So
it just occurred to me actually that your 2 biggest years in growth were actually the hardest economic time that we've seen in ever. And you've literally like trebled your business in the hardest economic time, right? That's kind of only just occurred to me when you were like, yeah, we've been going through this pandemic. And I'm like, use social media. And I was like, holy shit, yeah, he's tripled his company inside a pandemic. So ever since the pandemic, I've been busier than ever. Like the pandemic, my business has accelerated to new heights from this. I see it all the time where agents who are relying on more old school methods, they're like, oh, I'm not busy. Nothing's going on. Nobody, you know, I can't go door knocking. I can't contact people right now. You know, how I got nothing going on. I'm like, really? I'm like, I'm busier than ever. So that's great. And this is why this modern agent stuff is helping. So like, let's unpack why they should be using it. And I think also like what they should be using, like your area of expertise. And to be fair, this is my kind of ignorant opinion. I don't know literally 0 people except you that is like hardcore on TikTok specifically as well.
Right.
So like you are like this guy and you are just like crushing it out on TikTok. Right. Like, and I think I'm not alone in saying that everyone kind of thought it's like 13-year-old girls, because that's kind of how it started. But what's happened is, I think the average age now is like in somewhere in the 30s. It's like the late 20s, early 30s now. And it happened in a very truncated time period that people moved over. So there is buyers on there now, and a lot of them.
Tons of them.
Yeah. So let's unpack the more of the social media stuff, because
so basically what you've described on TikTok, like that's exactly the trend that we're seeing. I mean, if we look at the infancy of any social platform, if we look at, you know, what was Facebook when it first started, what was Instagram when it first started, all of these platforms generally started off in a more in their early stages. They started off with, you know, maybe a less mature user base, right? They might have been just mostly younger kids in school and high school and, you know, whatever, and they're just downloading these. They're starting to download these apps, right? But this thing that we're seeing, that we saw with all of those apps, is they mature over time. Older people get on those apps and they start looking at the content. They start using the apps, and as they're available for longer, the absorption rate of that older audience just increases and grows, right? So the exact same thing is happening to TikTok right now. A lot of people have that, you know, misconception that, hey, the only people on TikTok right now is young kids, girls, people dancing and just, making stupid videos. That is the misconception of it. But hey, that was the misconception about TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, 8 or 10 years ago. And now look where it's at. You've missed your opportunity. Those platforms are, I don't want to say you missed your opportunity, but you had a huge opportunity. Those platforms had, very little competition on it. And now those platforms are super saturated now that the older demographic has started to get on there. So the same thing is happening with TikTok right now. The older demographic is coming on there. People are starting to use the platform for professional use. And do you really want to make the same mistake that you made, with those other platforms of waiting too long? And my answer was no. Like, I want to get on and start using this thing right away.
100%. I mean, we've spoken about this a lot between me and Peter. The content thing has been somewhat of a hurdle for us.
Right.
It's just getting it done. We've got for ourselves, but then again, let's be honest, we put a lot of time into, for example, this podcast. This is a daily show. Every day an episode goes out, and this is our medium for sharing content. And we've just launched on YouTube, so that if people are listening that want to see the video version and hang out with us on video, they can now go and watch these on YouTube as well. But the some of those things about TikTok, the youth is so true. I mean, here's the thing: platforms tend to fill a void, right? So Facebook was really, you had MySpace, Bebo, but Facebook was the real first social platform in my mind. And then Instagram came about, and it still is like this. It's really good photography and videos. That's kind of how Instagram was defined. It's and I remember when I first went there, I was like, is this just professional photographers? Who are just sharing, but that's what their focus was. And then you've had Snapchat, Twitter is about condensing your thoughts into a tiny character count. That, they limit the platform, was it 140 characters, and that's it. So they're niching you. So you've got to be concise with how you get stuff across, when with Facebook you can write a fucking 20-page article, you know? And LinkedIn has obviously been business focused. Now it's interesting. One thing that I think Instagram has done for TikTok, if anything, it's kind of done it for the world, is the evolution of influencer marketing was started through Instagram. That's where it began. And now every single platform that opens up from now until forever, this influencer, TikTok influencer, Snapchat influencer is a thing, which is basically essentially a big part of who you are. You are a real estate influencer on TikTok and on social. I mean, and that's something that a lot of people, I don't think, kind of grasp, is that this is never going away. This whole being an influencer thing, this isn't bad. This is now a real medium to make ridiculous sums of money.
Totally.
Insane, insane amounts of money. And one thing we were speaking about kind of off air before we jumped on, and I want to touch on this because I think it's valid. It's that it's well, what do you like doing now? And you're like, I like making the content, and I like selling homes to people that I enjoy selling homes to. I enjoy making the money, but these are the two things that I really enjoy doing. And it's now one has led to the other, and you enjoy your life, and it's leading to the income level that you are enjoying, and it's going to open up more and more opportunities throughout your life. Can you imagine, just anyone that's listening, you too, Chris, it's just go back 10 years and imagine telling you in your 20s, where it's by the way, you're going to make 400 grand a year off a platform that's got kids dancing on it. You'd be like, hey, what the fuck is going on?
Who would have thought about that?
This wasn't a thing. And I was fortunate enough when before the Instagram influencer thing was a thing, I was selling products, and I've been selling them for nearly a decade. So we used to get shout outs before it was a big commercialized thing where people were charging ridiculous sums of money for their follower count, and so I was part of that heyday where it's God, I can get a shout out for $30. I make $1,000 off this. And you're this can't be real life.
Yeah.
But it fucking was. Yeah. It really, really was.
Totally.
And it's more real life now than it's ever been before. And it will keep growing, right? Which is why I'm getting excited about this topic, because you're doing something that we're currently not. And TikTok, out of every platform, is actually now, in my opinion, the one you've got to be on, because the organic reach on TikTok is unprecedented. It is like you can reach, like we you know, when we introduce you, you've got 10 million views. Like people conceptualize that. 10 million people have viewed one of Christian's videos, who is a fucking realtor in Canada. Right? 10
but let's put that into perspective too. 10 million views really over the last year or 2 years. Is that right?
No, that's actually, I just got on TikTok roughly a year ago. So just a year.
Okay. My exact point, in a year. 10 million people.
And that's why he's going, well, I'm growing a team and I've got making all this money. And he's like, now your biggest hurdle is your time. I know that for a fact. Like,
it is, absolutely.
Your income level now is going to be in direct proportion to your ability to outsource certain skills that you and time. It's basically leverage, short term leverage, right? But like I get so excited about this because like this is totally possible for other people. People think it's not. But what I love about this is you're not some weird Fortune 500 company that's got some weird like AI and doing all this shit. And they're like, listen, I'm hella rich, but no one can touch me because I develop like you're just part of a moment. And it's the beginning of the moment too. It's not the middle. It's definitely not the end.
No,
like this is something that every person listening to this, if you're happy to make content, like you can literally give yourself more business than you'll ever be able to handle. Through social media, through content.
Yeah, totally. And I feel that people have this misconception about it, that it's really hard to do and really hard to get on, and you need all this professional equipment, and you need this professional production crew. Like I get asked the question a lot of times, like, "Oh, Christian, you probably got people following you around with cameras, doing all this stuff for you all the time." And I'm like, no, actually, like I don't. Like I film all my videos with my cell phone right here, and I edit them and then I post them on TikTok. Like it's not really that complicated, right? So that actually the nice thing about TikTok that I like about that platform compared to all of the other platforms that or not all the other, but compared to a platform like YouTube, is the videos and the content that you put on TikTok. Actually, it does not at all need to be like professionally produced, and you got these crazy camera editing and tips and tricks and all that sort of stuff. Actually, what people want to see on that platform more is real and organic, like real life type video. They want to see see stuff that's authentic. They don't, if you post a professional looking video on YouTube, something that looks really, professional, cinematic, like what you'd see on YouTube or like in a movie theater, it probably wouldn't get very many views because nobody's going on that platform to watch that kind of video. They want to see real, authentic stuff coming from you. Whether it's, advice or, real estate tips or tricks or hacks or any of that sort of stuff. They want to see the real, the real behind the scenes stuff, the authentic stuff, not like the highly produced Hollywood stuff that looks like it's, been through a movie theater. So creating content for that platform actually is really not that difficult to do. So if you're a real estate agent right now, you've really got no excuse to not get on that platform because, hey, if you got a cell phone, you can start making a couple videos, editing and posting. It's really not that hard. I'll tell you right now on camera here, like I don't have any secret sauce, like behind the scenes, stuff that, that no one else can do. It's all stuff that, other agents can easily do and replicate. Now, when I say that, I don't mean copy what other people are doing, because if you're just on TikTok and you're pretending to be Grant Cardone or Gary Vee, you're not being yourself, you're not going to get the views and people are going to see through it. They're going to know it's fake. But, you can easily go on there and just be yourself. Make a little bit of content, give some people some helpful real estate tips or just even helpful, financial or money management tips. And your videos can go viral just without tons of production, just being yourself. That's all you need to be.
Where do you see most people fail when it comes to, creating content on TikTok? What sets you apart from getting 10 million views versus somebody who's just jumping on, has no idea what they're doing, no idea what content to produce, and and it gets little to no traction, or maybe they've done it for a little bit of time? What's the dynamics of the platform?
I think that what sets people apart on the platform is just the authenticity and uniqueness, right? So obviously when people go on TikTok and they're looking at these short form videos, they want to see stuff that's authentic and that's, unique, maybe a little bit different, right? So if you're just getting on there pretending to be somebody else, like, oh, this guy's got, 5 million followers or views, I'm just going to copy what he's doing. Well, it never works. Like, I actually do see agents sometimes who make the exact same videos as I make, but they just try to copy me and do it I'm
going to look to your TikTok for inspiration, hands down.
Oh, totally. But you know what? Looking at for inspiration, totally. That's cool. Like, look at it and get some ideas from it, right? But I've seen people where they just literally try to word for word, like action for action, just copy my videos, and it never works out. Like, not that I care. I mean, hey, I'm flattered. Like, I must be doing a good job then. But I never see them have the same amount of success.
I love it. I love how humbly you just breeze right over that.
No, totally. Like, I really don't care if people try to you can copy me all you want, but like, there's only one. I know who I am. I'm unique, and obviously my audience follows me because I'm unique. So somebody copying my video, I'm definitely not worried about losing followers or anything like that over it, right? So if you actually look at I get it all the time where people they see my videos and then they recognize me or meet me in real life for the first time, and they're like, "Wow, you are in real life like exactly like you are on your videos," and they're surprised because they're like, "Wow, I thought everyone would be like fake online, but you're just that's who you are. Like, you're the same person as your videos, right?" And that, I think that authenticity really goes a long way on those platforms. Just being like, it really does. People want to follow you because you're you, not because you're trying to be somebody else, right? And then again, like the content piece, creating content that's maybe a little bit outside the box of what everyone else is doing. Like, instead of creating a video on, oh, here's your market update, you've got to be almost a little bit of a good marketer in terms of, you don't want to just give someone a market update. You want to say, oh, don't buy right now because this will happen. And then, using that kind of a hook, people will obviously want to watch your video, right? So if you have a good hook, you can definitely get a lot of views and obviously be yourself.
Hey, thanks for listening to this episode. Now, before you go, we're giving access to a private training we did where we revealed the top 3 niches to get listings today completely for free. So if you want access, you can go and download that training at eliteagentsecrets.com. We're regularly releasing new trainings, guides, and cheat sheets, so make sure to head over to eliteagentsecrets.com and sign up so you don't miss out.